What if you're invited to a meeting and you know it's not going to be a good meeting? You're not chairing it. What can you do? Well, I've got some strategies here. The first option is just to not go. You could delegate somebody else to go. You could ask for the minutes. You could lobby the chairman beforehand and say, this meeting tomorrow, there's only one thing I want to say about it, really. And so you could talk to them about that. That's often more effective than actually going to the meeting. Next, you can ask for an agenda beforehand. I think it's a perfectly reasonable request, even if there isn't normally an agenda. And then another option based on that is to ask to attend only for the agenda items that involve you. Could I just come to the first half of the meeting? That kind of thing. You could also ask for a finish time to be set beforehand. If you say that you've got to do something else after the meeting, so you need to know when it's going to finish, I think that's a perfectly reasonable request. You can ask closed rather than open questions, things like, so who's going to do what then? Or are we saying we're going to do A or B, do we think? Questions like that, which really the chair should be asking. But if the chair is weak or ineffectual or fluffy-minded, you can ask those types of questions. Similarly, it's the chair's job, but you can point out red herrings and you can say, this is interesting, but I don't quite see how it applies to the problem of X. And hopefully the chair or somebody else will go, yes, good point. Yes, stick to the subject, Fred. Also, you can point out people who return to previous items and you can say, haven't we already agreed this? And you can point out unnecessary detail. So you can say, maybe that could be dealt with offline and a report made by these two as a team. Maybe they could work on it and report next time at the meeting. So you should pick people up on red herrings, returning to previous items and unnecessary detail. And finally, I think, consider talking to the chairman after the meeting, diplomatically, of course, and saying to them, that meeting, do you think it would be better if the guy from accounts brought out a brief summary rather than all that detail, that kind of thing? And most chairs are aware that their meeting isn't brilliant, and they would be amenable, I think, to a constructive discussion about how it could be made better. So there we are, some suggestions of what to do when you're not chairing a meeting.